Welcome back to this lesson. We're going to continue learning about how to solve combined inequalities. Once you get the hang of this, every one of these problems basically behaves the same way. So let's take a look at our first one. What if you have negative 2 less than or equal to 2a plus 4 less than 8? So when you see a combined inequality all written together like this with some variable in the middle, along with, it could have other numbers, another part of the expression here, but when the variable's in the middle is surrounded by inequalities, you automatically know that this is an and kind of problem. So it's your job to split it up into essentially two smaller problems to solve. So that's what we're going to do here. The first problem is basically just looking at this part of the inequality, so we'll write that down separately. So what you will have is negative 2 less than or equal to 2a plus 4. You literally copy it down exactly as it's written there, and then you need to write the word and, okay, because both of these are true. And then the other part of the problem is the center portion along with the right-hand inequality. So essentially, when you write it like this, you kind of have two inequalities in one, which makes sense because you have an equality here and an inequality right there. So the second one is going to be 2a plus 4 less than 8. Now, I recommend that you do it exactly the way I'm showing you here. You see, I haven't put the variable on the left-hand side. I didn't rearrange the order of anything here or here. I literally wrote it down exactly as it's presented in the problem, and again, exactly as it's presented in the problem, with the inequalities pointing exactly the same direction. Because if you start trying to put the variables on one side and flip things around, then you're going to end up screwing up one of these inequality signs. It's just easier to leave it exactly as it sits. So let's work with this. How do we isolate this? And again, we're not going to move the variable around. We're just going to try to keep it and isolate it on this side by itself. So let's subtract 4 to move that to the other side. So we're going to subtract 4 here. So on the left-hand side, it'll be negative 2 minus 4 less than or equal to 2a. Make sure you understand that. You subtract 4 from both sides. So on the right-hand side, 4 minus 4 gives you 0. On the left-hand side, you're just subtracting 4. We left the variable in place. We've left the inequality in place. We haven't touched anything else. So on the left, minus 2 minus 4, you should know by now, is negative 6. So you have that is equal to 2a, like this. Now, how do we isolate a? Well, we need to divide both sides by positive 2. We have to divide both sides by positive 2. So on the right-hand side, when we divide by positive 2, we're just going to have an a. The inequality stays exactly the same, and then you'll have on this side negative 6 divided by 2. So on the right-hand side, the 2's cancel when you divide by 2. On the left-hand side, here's what you get. What is negative 6 divided by 2? That's going to be negative 3 less than or equal to a. Right, now I know a lot of you want to rearrange this and put the a on the other side and the negative 3 on the other side. You can certainly do that, but you run the risk of screwing up. If you don't flip this properly, then you're going to end up messing it up. So what I recommend is you just write the problem down exactly as it sits, solve it, leave the variable on one side. This is going to be half of the answer. The other half of the answer is this inequality. So we want to isolate a. We'll leave it alone on this side. We'll move the 4 to the other side by subtraction. So on the left-hand side, we'll just have 2a left over. Inequality stays the same, and you'll have 8 minus 4 on the right-hand side. We just subtracted 4 from the left, giving us 0, subtracting 4 from the right. So what you're left with is 2a less than 4. And now we have to isolate a. We'll divide both sides by positive 2. So on the left-hand side, you will simply have a. On the right-hand side, you'll have 4 over 2. So a, whoops, I already made a mistake myself. You see, this can happen. You need to have, I put